Good morning. This is your AI host, Jay. I'm here with the automatically generated Journato morning headlines on September 29, 2022. COP27, Egyptian hosts urge leaders to set aside tensions over Ukraine. The Guardian, Ukraine war cannot provide pretext for backsliding at UN climate talks. COP27, host Egypt urges. Sky News, Egypt working to prioritize loss and damage at COP27. Ukraine calls for Russia to be declared terrorist state after damning report. Ukrainians flee from Russian annexation, while they still can. Reuters, Ukraine artillery units salute fellow fighter jet during combat. The Telegraph, live updates, Russia-Ukraine war. The Independent, conscription fears as young Ukrainian men stopped from leaving occupied areas. The Guardian, Ukrainian men flee Russian-held areas amid annexation votes. COVID might have changed people's personalities, study suggests. The Guardian, COVID pandemic may have changed people's personalities. The Independent, why young people are now moodier since the COVID pandemic. The Telegraph, people experienced some key personality changes during the pandemic, study finds. Trump News, live, Lara Trump under fire for parenting as bizarre details from Maggie Haberman's book surface. The Independent, hear what supporter of January 6 rioter told Fanon during rioters' sentencing. CNN, family of Capitol rioter called DC police officer attacked on January 6 at Peace of St. after sentencing. The Independent, hear what supporter of January 6 rioter told Michael Fanon during rioters' sentencing. Holidaymakers left in wrong country after flight aborted. BBC, couple stranded abroad forced to share hotel room with 4 strangers. Liverpool Echo, Preston City wrestling owner stranded and shafted in wrong country after Wizz Air flight aborted. Lancs Live, couple miss flight home from holiday despite arriving 3 hours early to airport. Manchester Evening News, British Wizz Air travellers stranded abroad after taxi takes them to wrong place. Iran launches airstrike against Kurdish group in northern Iraq. Nuclear attack in Ukraine should spark devastating NATO response, says Poland. The Guardian, Ukraine war, chance of Russia launching a nuclear attack could grow once it annexes territories, governor warns. Sky News, Putin's certainly not bluffing and will use nuclear weapons if pushed, says Medvedev. The Independent, the Russian military might yet finish Putin off. The Telegraph, analysis, truth or bluff. Why Putin's nuclear warnings have the West worried. Hurricane Ian, Florida pummeled by one of the most powerful storms in U.S. history. Sky News, Hurricane Ian's floods southwest Florida. 11 alive, Hurricane Ian and tracker. Storm makes landfall in southwest Florida. Russia-Ukraine war latest, what we know on day 218 of the invasion. The Guardian, separatist leaders call on Putin to annex regions after sham referendums. The Telegraph, referendums which back Russian rule in Ukraine are sham, Kovny. The National, Ukraine war, live, new EU sanctions will make Kremlin pay for sham referendums. The Independent, EU seeks trade sanctions on Russia over sham Ukraine votes. IMF rebuke has echoes of 1976, but this crisis could be much worse. The Independent, IMF openly criticizes UK government tax plans as pound plummets. BBC News. BBC News, US is increasingly worried about UK turmoil, working with IMF. Bloomberg, IMF piles pressure on Kwasi Kwarteng over tax cuts. Evening Standard, Faisal Islam, Kwarteng sent stinging and unusual rebuke by IMF. Why did Hurricane Ian drain Tampa Bay ahead of storm surge? The Independent, tracking Hurricane Ian, see latest forecast, spaghetti models, information as it makes landfall. 13WMAZ, shocking before and after images show devastation wrought by Ian. Daily Mail, news outlets under fire over videos of reporters covering Hurricane Ian. Fourth leak reportedly found on Nord Stream pipeline. Sky News, EU calls major gas leaks from Nord Stream pipeline sabotage. BBC News. BBC News, Nord Stream leaks, sabotage to blame, says EU. BBC, the apparent attacks on the Nord Stream gas pipelines are a wake-up call. The Telegraph, Nord Stream blasts could herald new phase of hybrid war, say EU politicians. This was all for the news. Thanks for listening. Please do not forget to like and subscribe.